that I've been cheating.
That's some new Tennessee music right there from Ned Abernathy. It's called Tennessee and You. With it, Ned became a finalist at the Tennessee Songwriters Week over at Songbirds Foundation's new venue over in Chattanooga. He's now living in Nashville. Abernathy developed his writing chops, penning one heartbreak song after another with a style all his own, and stories that he says border on being too honest. He's got an EP coming out later this year, and he's going to hit the road soon. He's all over social media. You can find him on Instagram over at Ned Abernathy Music. Thanks, Ned. Good luck.
No, I never thought it'd ever be this hard. I didn't think that I would have to choose.
Hey, y'all from Tennessee. Welcome to the State and Bill podcast. This is the place where we celebrate Tennessee, the volunteer state, the Big Bend state, the hog and hominy state. On this show, we love Tennessee from State Street in Bristol to Beale Street in Memphis, with apologies to Mountain City. My name is Toby Sells. I'm the host, producer, proprietor, cow punch, and bottle washer over here at State and Bill. Have a big show for you today. Tom Lee Park has finished renovations over there last year, and it's open to the public. And if you've never seen it, it's amazing. I want y'all to go down and check it out. I've got a great conversation with Carol Coletta, who is the president and CEO of the Memphis River Parks Partnership, the group that has overseen all of the renovations and oversees the park for the city. The project is huge. $61 million worth of huge that has completely transformed the Memphis riverfront. It's a fun topic, and Carol is a great interview. So let's hit I-40 West straight to the east bank of the mighty Mississippi today on State and Bill. Something big has happened on the east bank of the Mississippi River, y'all. Tom Lee Park has been completely transformed, and it's worth a look if you're on a visit. It's worth a visit all by itself, but if you're going to Memphis, make it a point to see the new park. Tom Lee sits right on the river, right on the edge of downtown, right on the very edge of Tennessee. Tom Lee has been a huge park in Memphis for years. Of course, it's where the Mid-South has gathered in large groups. If you've ever heard of Memphis in May, it's almost always been held at Tom Lee Park. The once flat, wide open field of grass now has dozens of features, from rolling landforms, viewing platforms, a playful otter slide, and tons of other playgrounds and playground equipment. There's a huge court with a sun canopy that can be used from everything from yoga, basketball, pickleball, and anything else you can dream up. There's a huge art installation there to reflect on the good deeds of Tom Lee himself. There's more on him later. Go chill in a hammock. Go grab some Ben & Jerry's. Borrow a putter from the park and work on your short game on 4 greens. Or go old school. Spread a blanket, bring a book, and let the river slide on by. Tom Lee Park still has plenty of wide open space for crowds to gather, though. And the park will heat up this summer with 2 new events that highlight some of what the city does best: music and food. A 3-day music festival called River Beat will bring headliners like the Fugees, Odessa, and Jelly Roll to the river. And then there's Smoke Slam. It's the city's newest barbecue contest, and it will bring in teams from all over the country to compete in ribs, shoulder, and whole hog. And it has its own exciting music lineup. But before we get too excited talking about the new stuff, I want to talk about the old stuff: the river. Tom Lee has always been a good place to enjoy the river, and it's a natural treasure to Tennessee. As rivers go, it's every bit as impressive as the Smokies. I paddled the Mississippi once, about 17 miles from Shelby Forest State Park, down south to downtown Memphis, right under the I-40 bridge, and safely into Wolf River Harbor. I was greeted back to town with all those tall buildings and Tom Lee Park. It's a wild river, so paddle at your own risk. But as I was sitting on the river, it seemed a mile wide in places. The water is brown with that silty soil that makes Delta farmers so much money. Too thick to drink, one said, and too thin to plow. Now, some have attributed that quote to Mark Twain describing the Missouri River. I'm not quite sure on that, but that quote has been said of rivers all across the country, but certainly about the Mississippi. The river is fast, too, and treacherous in places. I'd be paddling along straight south, right down the river, and for no reason at all, my kayak would turn 45 degrees on a dime, sending my stomach straight up into my throat. I don't have any desire to dip a paddle into the main channel of the Mississippi anymore. My little excursion cured all that, but I sure do like to watch that river run. It tosses tree trunks like toothpicks in its churning waters. Mighty Mississippi indeed. And it's great for wildlife watching too. Beavers are busy down there. And every year, millions of birds, particularly waterfowl, migrate up and down the river via the Mississippi Flyway. And if it's fish you're after, from that river, Bill Dance has pulled catfish the size of fifth graders. But for Tom Lee Park, rewind back to 1990. The park itself was tiny, home to the Memphis in May Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest, and the rest of it was just a small sandy shore that lined Riverside Drive. And now you'll remember that part right at the very end of the firm. It's that exact spot where Mitch and Abby are seen driving away back home to Boston. 1991, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers wanted to shore up the bluff and stop some of the river erosion of the bank, and they built a dike wall there to keep the water at bay. The city then asked them to just fill in the wall with dirt. They planted some grass on top, added a few amenities like walking paths and a bathroom, and bada bing, 31 acres were added, and Tom Lee Park 2.0 was born. Not bada bing, of course. It took a ton of work, and I want to give thanks to everybody who did it. For years, the park was that big, flat field. But a task force was created in 2017 to reinvigorate the park. Locals were asked what they wanted in a park. And then a bold new concept was created. $61 million was raised and spent. And last Labor Day, the doors to the brand new park were opened to the public. The group leading this effort was the Memphis River Parks Partnership. That group still oversees the park and other Memphis River parks. This week, I spoke with the group's president and CEO, Carol Coletta. She understands how cities run and what they need to run well. She's been a fellow with the Kresge Foundation, and last year, urban planning news site Planetizen ranked Coletta among the top 100 most influential urbanists. And this year, that group ranked her in the top 12 most influential women on that same group. When I spoke with her last week, Coletta was most impressed, though, that she'd logged more than 11,000 steps that day, with more to go. I asked her to describe the park like I'd never been to Memphis.
Well, let me put it in a broader context because I think everyone who comes to Memphis wants to see the Mississippi River, right?
That's right.
It's the most iconic river in the world. There hasn't been the place to see our river. And so we built a fabulous 31-acre park right on the Mississippi. And it's at the front door of the city. And it is just a phenomenal park that's been a huge hit. Opened, as you say, in Labor Day. So we haven't even had a spring and summer season.
Right.
And let me just describe it for people who haven't seen it. They can always go to tomleepark.org and take a look at our fabulous photos. But it is getting world renowned for parks. And it has fabulous canopy right in the center with this playground built by Monstrum that is all about river critters and the most dangerous playground I've ever seen for kids. There's a lot of risk that kids can take, and they love it. They have a little zip line and
There's a
they have
giant
an otter.
and the giant otter. You got to talk about that.
Giant otter. It's just great. You climb all the way up and you slide down. And so kids are finding their way through it and they love it. And we've got beautiful art in the park, by Theaster Gates, internationally recognized artist.
You said something interesting at the beginning. People want to experience the river, and I think a lot of folks don't know how to do that in Memphis. And I know when I first got to town, I didn't realize that you don't get in the river, you don't swim in there. I know it's silly. I had kayaks and stuff at the time, and I have floated the Mississippi before. You have to be really careful, but it's not that it's not a recreation kind of place. And this and other things in town kind of give you a way to experience the river.
You're right. We have added kayaks in the last few
Oh, that's right.
years and trying to make kayaks available to those who don't own a kayak, want to try it out. And we found that people love that, but we let them kayak in the Stillwater Harbor,
Right, right there in the Wolf
much
River Harbor. Right.
safer than in the Mississippi.
Yep.
What people don't know is that the Mississippi River rises and falls 55 feet a year. It's a very dynamic river. Some years ago, Toby, I was taking care of my daughter's dog, a Labrador. Labradors like water. He got loose from what was then my young stepson, ran across Riverside Drive, down the cobblestones and into the water.
Right.
And we were frantic, what are we going to do?
Terrifying, sure.
He's going to float to New Orleans.
Right.
And it was great because people on the Queen Line actually rescued him.
What? On a riverboat, they rescued the dog.
They rescued the dog.
That is the most Memphis story I've ever heard.
I know. Isn't that great? So anyway, it's fun to have the Tom Lee Park where there's so many places where people can sit and just contemplate this beautiful landscape across from us, floodplain. Never to be built on.
I was looking at a lot of the features. I've been to Tom Lee Park, haven't explored the whole thing. You were talking about places to sit and look. There's a hammock grove down there, which I haven't experienced yet. A lot of just oversized furniture down there. It is a comfortable place to be down there. What's one of your favorite places in the park?
That's so funny you would ask because I change my mind every time I go to the park. It depends on the light and where people are. I love a lot of things about the park. I probably personally enjoy the calm of the quieter parts of the park, the south end of the park.
Okay.
But it makes me very, very happy to see families and using the playground, using the canopy. I love watching the guys play basketball.
Right.
I love when we bring in the maker of culture on the weekends, the DJ, and he's great. And I've seen people at one time under the canopy play pickleball, do Latin dance, skate, and play basketball.
Nice.
Which is like crazy.
Right.
Oh, and swinging the hammocks and on the swings. All of that under that sunset canopy right in the middle of the park.
You mentioned a minute ago that we haven't had a spring and a whole summer down there yet. As far as you can tell, I'm not going to press you on numbers or anything. How's the reception been at the park? Do y'all have visitor counts? Do you know how many folks have come through there? What you can expect?
We believe we're on track for 1 million visitors
Wow.
this year in year one.
That's amazing.
It will be amazing.
Yeah.
And the crowds are growing every month.
Have you seen folks making that connection between downtown and Tom Lee Park?
Oh, we see it all the time because we see people bring food from Gus's, from Hive Bakery, which is fabulous, by the brewery. I mean, we see people buy there and come to the park. If on a University of Memphis game day or Grizzlies game day, like today is, you'll see people in their gear before the game or after the game, if it's an afternoon game as in college, and they just flood the park. No, it's just great. We see people, enjoying Beale Street. The park is connected to Beale Street. It's right at the end of Beale Street.
That's right.
So there's a lot to do in downtown that is adjacent to the park.
How about food in Tom Lee Park?
So we have hot dogs, vegan dogs, bratwurst. We have pretzels, really good cookies, and we have a wonderful beverage selection. And soon we will have beer and wine.
Very cool.
And we're really proud of that. And it's working really well. We have, wait, and we have Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's on the river.
Oh yeah, and everybody loves Ben and Jerry. There's always a line for Ben and Jerry's. Even in the winter, there was a line.
Amazing. That's the power of Ben and Jerry's. If you're going to line up in the middle of winter and go get some. And who was Tom Lee?
That's a very modest name for such a prominent park.
Right.
But it's named after a genuine Memphis hero named Tom Lee. He was a guy who delivered packages on the Mississippi River. And in 1925, he saw a boat listing in the Mississippi River, saved 32 passengers from drowning in the river by pulling them into his small skiff boat and taking them to shore, making a fire, going back out again and again and again. It's such a heroic story. And he was a black man. All of those he saved were white. And the ethos of generosity, of humanity, of courage is one we try to imbue in the park and in the people who are there. And it's just a great gift to have that story to build a park around.
That's right. Is there anything we left out or anything you want to add about Tom Lee Park? Expectations? What's next? What are you looking forward to? Those kind of things.
Well, we've got a lot of programming in the summer. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got two big festivals coming in May. One is a music event, and the other is a food festival, a barbecue festival that has a lot of great music. People are loving the music lineup.
They are.
So that's going to be fun. And then we have regular, if you just popped into the park, there's probably something going to be going on. A step class, a yoga class, dance,
Skating.
skating, a skate night,
Yeah.
sunset skate. We have sci play for kids in the science play,
Oh, okay.
science oriented play. So there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of art, there's a lot of just conservation, understanding nature. We have volunteer opportunities. So there's just a lot, and a lot of fun.
A whole lot of fun down there on the river.
Don't worry, baby, I'll be the bad guy.
Y'all get to Tom Lee Park sometime soon. Both Riverbeat and Smoke Slam are scheduled for next month, and they are worth making the trip for. I'll leave links to both of those in the show notes. And that'll do it for this episode, y'all. Thanks again. We'll see you back here in Tennessee next week for more State and Beal. State and Beal was written, produced, and hosted by me, Toby Sells. I love doing the show, but my ultimate goal is to make State and Beal a statewide magazine. For that, I'm going to need some help, some money, some advertisers, or just great advice. So if you want to hear my pitch on this project, please drop me a line at toby@stateandbeal.com. And if you'd like to sponsor this podcast in the meantime, I'd love to talk to you. All right, y'all, thanks so much.